All right, here we are talking about making out. This is part 3 of the Ultimate College Toolkit that we're doing. All about college life. We've already done making friends, making time. Now we got the good stuff of making out. Hooking up on college campuses is tricky. And I have you lovely college people that are willing to be honest and vulnerable and open. Let's start with, tell us your relationship status. Are we single and seeking? Are we dating? Are we in love? Are we wife material? Where are we at?
Definitely. I don't know where my ring is at. No, I'm just kidding. Well, I'll just go first. I'm in a relationship. It's gonna be almost 3 years.
Oh my gosh.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So wait, did you start the relationship in college? Or
Yes.
started in high school, stopped, and then started
Yeah. That one. Yeah.
Okay.
But so both.
Okay, so
But
you've been dating.
I would say it started in college, for the 3 years. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Then I'm in a relationship of about to be 5 years.
That's nuts.
I know. And then me and my hubby, we met in high school, and then we knew each other. So I knew of him and went to church school and everything like that. And then it was on and off, we knew each other. But then it fully we started dating till our end of our senior year. And during that summer, and then I would say kind of the same both high school and then college.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and then you've been surviving college together.
Yeah.
Because you guys went to separate schools at one point.
Yeah, our first year,
Yeah.
we were separate schools,
Okay.
but same city, so.
Okay. We'll talk more about that.
Yeah.
Sam, what do you got?
Single and ready to mingle.
Single. Are you talking to anybody? "Quote unquote" talking to anybody, or we're just full out single? Looking?
I guess just hookups,
Okay.
which
All
we're
right.
going to get into.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so we're talking about hooking up on college campuses. All 3 of you are on college campuses, and I think there's challenges for both, for those that are coupled, for those that are single and seeking. So my question to start with for you all are, what are some of these challenges that either you've experienced personally, or maybe you've heard your friends experience with challenges of being coupled or wanting to be coupled, or just randomly hooking up on campus? What challenges go with that?
Roomies and trying to find friends. That was my hardest struggle. Living on campus, it was hard to hook up with my boo, because you have to talk about it, or what's the situation, or what if it's my roommate trying to bring someone in and do their own thing. And then it was just trying to find friends, because everybody was just doing their own thing. And immediately when I was oh, I'm in a relationship, they're
Nobody
never
wanted to be
mind,
a
you're
friend.
not invited, and all that stuff.
Ah, that stinks. Okay.
Yeah.
But so what arrangements did you come up with with your roommate to do
Yeah.
the hookup situation? How did that
Okay,
work out?
so my roommate and I knew each other since the beginning of high school. So I already knew her. We were like this. And when she knew that I was in a relationship, and she was okay, I know you guys are gonna wanna get it and
Get it.
So
Is that the word we're using these days? We say get it? What?
I feel
what
just me and my roommate did that.
Okay.
So she was I don't want to be in the room. I don't want to know whatever it is. Don't tell me. She's but if you do need your own time, just send me a text and I'll go to the library, or I'll go to the cafeteria. I'll be done and do other stuff.
Okay.
And
did
then-
that work out?
Yeah, it worked out. I would be hey, I text her, or she's yeah.
Yeah.
And it was the same for her. She's just text me. Yeah.
What if you both wanted to use the room at the same time? You rock, paper, scissors, work?
I don't think that would have happened, because she wasn't searching.
Okay.
But if it were because I know if it were to happen, it'd be a big deal for her.
Yeah.
So I'd give up my space.
Okay.
You go. You do you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's funny, we don't think about these things of sharing space with somebody and then having to have intimate conversations with them, oh hey, because then it even brings up the other stuff of just how sexually active people are. And you have some people that are coming from relationships and sexually active. You have people that haven't been. You have people that are curious, you know. And so it does, like, again, we're not taught to how to have all these conversations. And so it's like, for me, I mean, it would be, I would carry like the shame or the judgment if it's like, oh, like, I'm having sex, you know, can you leave so like we can do this kind of thing, you know, and like I'd be worried about what they're gonna think of me and all these things. So applause to you for like at least having that conversation.
Yeah. Those college walls are thin, y'all. Just letting y'all know.
Yeah. Okay, so managing roommates could be a challenge. What else do we have?
I feel like, in a way, like settling for something that you don't want and not talking about it. So, kind of like what she was saying, like basically like hooking up and stuff. But it's like my friend,
Your friend?
No, like this is my friend's experience, not mine. Because I was in a relationship, I couldn't hook up with anybody. Yeah. But my friend, she, I guess, like got into a habit of hooking up with people, but deep down she wanted a relationship, but she never told them, and so she settled to just hook up.
Yeah.
And then when she finally, like, recently found this guy that she wanted to date, she was conflicted when he didn't want to just hook up because she expected. It was just like confusing.
Awful.
Yeah. So I think it's that mindset, like, oh, you already know that they just want to hook up, but you're just gonna say okay because you're not gonna talk about, oh, I want to be with you in that way.
Yeah, that and I feel could jump to conclusions, but I feel like alcohol could be involved, and so it's like you're like, oh, I'm going to this party, like, what's gonna happen? And we're just gonna hook up, and you don't think of the long term. Like when you pause and it's like, oh, like this hookup thing's getting pretty old. Like, when is it gonna turn into something else, kind of thing?
We don't know how to talk about sex. So.
No one does. Like adult, like it's not even just a college thing. It's just lots of challenges. Lots of challenges. What else? What's the challenges for single life?
I guess it's kind of going off of what Destiny said, really, because it's like I've been in that position where it's like I want to be involved with someone, but the way I express it is hooking up from different relationships or different friends with benefits and all that stuff. So it's like I don't really know what I want, and it kind of sucks. And then it's like I accidentally get myself like attached to all these different people, and it's like I make it clear that it's like, oh, it's only gonna be friends with benefits, but whatever works out.
Because you get more feelings.
Yeah. It happened to me pretty recently, so it's like it's only to the fault of my own.
Yeah. Well, don't beat yourself up over it.
Yeah, no, I mean, I used to be way worse than where I am now. So.
But like you bring a point up of like we can't control our feelings, you know, and so like your intention is like, it's just gonna be fun. I'm just gonna like mess around, see who I meet, see what happens, and then your heart says something else, and like that's then I guess like a different, you know, pausing of like, okay, can we talk about this, and knowing, do I need to switch directions or what? There's so much, and I guess too for people, because you're commuting, and then like, so if you don't live on, like you were living on campus, and so you had a space to go, I guess that could be a challenge, you know, like if you're a commuter, what do you do? And like, does anybody have experiences or friends that have experiences on what you do? Because I lived on campus too, I don't know what I would do.
What do you mean, like to meet up with the person?
Yeah,
like, or do you make arrangements to stay on campus? Do you get hotels?
Oh, okay.
Do you like what?
Yeah. So this is not my experience, but this is like from a guy friend that I knew.
Uh-huh.
So he would like bring over. So I guess in a way you have to know somebody or be really cool with using their room, if that makes sense.
That's weird.
I know it's weird, but it's like
college life.
Whatever. It happens. So he would like bring girls from like all over the Bay Area, and like they would come over and hook up, and then that was that. Or like he would sometimes pay them, or like give them an incentive, like
give the girls an incentive.
No,
Okay.
the guys.
Oh.
For borrowing the room. So he
Okay.
would be like, I'll buy beer, or I'll buy whatever you guys want. And just like, that was a deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. That's like
crazy.
elaborate. I mean, I guess it worked, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It worked, but hey,
Yeah.
his life.
Yeah. Shoot, that's funny. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So lots of just things that I haven't thought about in a while. Like you guys are taking me way back of just like looking up on campus. What is it like, and like the party scene? And I would imagine what we mentioned with your situation, like just drugs and alcohol, like kind of jading our brains or what we're really looking for, like the beer goggles, like, oh, have a couple drinks, look how cute that person is, and then you wake up the next day and you're like, who was that? What was I doing? Why? So this stuff is really, really hard. And I think a lot of it is like the communication. You talked about your friend and expectations of, okay, cool, we met, I'm probably just gonna hook up, I'm never gonna talk to them again. And then when it is, if I want something more, how do we tell them that? So first, I guess let's clarify, what are the terms we're using, like on college campus? Like we have like hooking up. What does that mean to, like, do you guys all have, what's your definitions of hooking up?
Sex.
Okay, you
Yeah.
say sex. Okay. Is that like pretty universal then? It's not like just kissing? Is there a term for just kissing?
Making out.
Making out.
Yeah.
But
Who loves this? Is it
But
making
my
out?
friends don't say that. Like this girl she's like my friend, but she's always like, we hook up. But then I ask her, I'm like, you guys did it? And she's like, no, we just made out. And I was
Yeah.
like, what?
Oh.
Okay,
Yeah, see, and that's confusing.
Yeah.
Okay, what other lingo do we have? Friends with benefits.
Mm-hmm.
What is that? How do you guys define that?
Okay, I think friends with benefits get super mistranslated.
Me too.
Because I think people take it literal. Like, oh, we're literally friends, but we're also having sex at the same time. But it's like, no, like, you're only supposed to hit that person up when you know.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
people think it's like, oh, no, like, we're homies, but we also do it at the
Yeah.
same time. Like, no, that's
No,
not.
that's a relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
but, yeah, a lot of people,
Yeah,
They
and
kinda
that's
just
what
throw it
I
out.
think. What do you guys think? Do you have the
Yeah,
same
that
definition?
confuses me. I'm like, you guys are like basically dating.
Yeah.
And that would be like their only contact. And I'm like, okay, so you guys are dating. And they're like,
Yeah.
no, we're not. And they get all offensive.
yeah,
about it.
they do. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm
that's
like-
true.
Just say it. You caught feelings. And
Yeah.
the other person did too. And just like,
Yeah. Yeah, I hear people, or they'll get mad because like that if I'm friends with benefits with somebody and he's hooks up with somebody else, and it's like,
Yeah.
oh, we're friends with benefits. Like I
Yeah.
can't believe they're hooking up. It's like, no, they can because you're just friends. Like, so I do think that the language we use is complicated, and on campuses, like people are coming from all over, like your backgrounds, your experiences, the types of schools, your home life, different countries. I mean, we're in LA. So it's hard to have a universal language, and I think that's like one of the biggest challenges of navigating making out. Because if it's like, oh, like I want to make out, and that's just like, let's hug and cuddle, and this person's like, we're going all the way, like it's gonna cause different problems.
It kind of reminds me of the episode of Friends, with Richard and Monica. She's like, oh, we're like racquetball buddies or something, and then she's like, maybe we can only be exclusive to each other, and they were just having like a hookup phase.
Oh yeah, and that's true, because they want to like dance around it. Like nobody wants to say, I like you, will you be in a relationship with me? We just keep it like play with it, like, oh, we'll be racquetball and we're just exclusive racquetball, but
But then she gets jealous when he
of
brings
course.
someone over.
Yeah. Which, so jealousy, I'm glad you brought jealousy up, because how is that for, I feel like that would be, or could be, challenges for people that are dating, or especially if you're not on the same campus, or your partners are at different spots. Do you have any experiences with jealousy, or getting jealous?
I would say no.
Or if your partner get jealous?
I would say like, obviously like from time to time, but like in college, like me and my partner, no, because we talked about it before we moved into our dorms. So it was kind of awkward because I was like, I was really scared, and I was like, okay, we have to talk about it. And I was like, hey, so I told my boyfriend, I was like, hey, can we talk about something? He's like, yeah, but like what? And I was like, so what if one of us cheats, or like what if one of us like gets drunk, or like all those scenarios. And like it was because I was already in Girls Pact and like was already getting ready to leave, so that's why I brought it up. But if we didn't have that conversation, I feel like it would have been awkward, because like we literally were like, no, we're committed to one another. It's and like if it does happen, we'll talk about it. So that's why we didn't get jealous, like here and there. And even now we joke about it, because it's like we did see those other people who were into like either me or like him, and I'd be like, oh yeah, like she was kind of like flirting with you, and she, like we like make a joke out of it, and so it's like, okay, like cool.
Yeah, I think you guys are a little bit the exception of the norm, you know, because we're in Girls Pact, so I'm sure that helped. But meeting in high school, because you guys were like 11th grade-ish in high school?
Yeah,
and so then being able to like establish the foundation and all that kind of stuff, and then go, so you were at a good point in your relationship to have a healthy conversation.
But I've definitely like when I brought that up to like my other college friends, they're like, that's so fucking weird. Like, I'm like, what do you mean? You
talked about stuff?
Yeah.
Weird.
I'm like, what do you mean? They're like, yeah, like it just happens. I was like, but how do you prevent that? You know? And so they think I'm weird for like being so open and talking with my partner, that to them it's like never heard of. They're just like, ew, like no, that's too much, or like you need your own life, or like every time my friends would come over, my guy friends would be like, your boyfriend doesn't get mad at you because you're talking to a guy. I'm like, no, why you like, why should he care? Like,
or if you're telling him, like, then you have nothing to hide. It's when we create the drama around it that makes all the complications. Okay. What about you? You're not getting off the hook.
I know, I thought we were gonna move on.
she thought.
Well, I think for me, it was really different because we moved in with each other 6 months after dating. So we had this whole like crisis or whatever on my side. And that kind of like, I was moving out, and I guess she just saw the opportunity and she wanted to move out too. So she's like, I know we've been dating for 6 months, but like it was kind of just like an effort, like, or let's just try it. And so I think we were pretty close, that we shared kind of everything together. But we both had jobs, we both went to school, so there wasn't really time to mingle. It was like, okay, I'm going to class and then I have to go to work. And in between we would like make friends in our classes, but we would talk about those friends. So everything was just kind of open. So jealousy, maybe like outside of that, but
Would you talk about it if you got jealous? Or would Raven bring it up if she got jealous?
Oh, I remember this one time.
This one time?
So I guess it was probably when we had just started dating. And so I don't know about you guys, but like if I start talking to someone, like I'll look through their social media.
I stalk them.
And then I'll be looking at other comments and be like, okay, like this one's a little too friendly. Let me see what this is. Okay, the boyfriend in the bio, whatever. But then there was this one girl, and then she was brought up later, like not too long ago. And I was like, oh yeah, that one girl who commented on your picture. And she was like, oh, you saw that? And I was like, yeah, I saw that. So like I'll say something and be like, oh, like, did she like you or like what? And she's like, no, like we were just friends or something. And I'm just like, okay. At that point, it's like, okay, whatever. It's in the past. Just wanted to know.
Yeah, I forgot about the social media stuff. Like that would, like you can get the scoop on everybody real quick. Real quick.
Real quick.
And that, I feel like that is tricky for like the single life. Like what?
When it comes to jealousy, I think it still applies when it comes to friends with benefits, because it does get like sticky. Because honestly, like I did get jealous in one of like my friends with benefits situations, and they're talking to other people and they like this other person, but then I have to like stop myself. I'm like, okay, you're not involved with this person in any way whatsoever, so you have to like keep that boundary between you and him. You know? But it's hard.
Did you tell him you got jealous, or you didn't because it was friends with benefits?
No.
And so you didn't tell him you like caught feelings and you'd want to be in a relationship?
I think I did. Like in the middle of it, I was like, just letting you know. Like, I think I'm starting to catch feelings for you, so I think we should just stop for a while.
Oh.
At least.
Yeah. And was he cool with that?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, like for a little bit, but then after a while, I was like, okay, so are we like meeting up or like, no?
So
like,
what does
I
this
can't,
mean?
like,
I like you and you don't like me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just don't want to push it for myself too
Yeah.
much, or else I'm gonna get too attached.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. I know. And like
Yeah.
that, because I don't know. I almost feel like friends with benefits almost always leads to somebody catching feelings.
Yeah.
And then it is like, what makes the difference? Like,
Yeah.
like why don't you make the jump? You know, not like you wanted to and he
Yeah.
didn't, or vice versa. Like, what is that all about?
Commitment.
Yeah.
People
Yeah,
don't want to be
people
tied
don't want-
down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I guess if it's like easy or whatever, like it's convenient.
Yeah.
Convenient. You don't have to put any effort.
Yeah.
If you're horny, there it is.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
you
there's
just
no
don't
work.
have to try.
I guess there's no work.
Yeah.
Yeah. So do you like Sam, like so do you like is friends with benefits, like why do you like friends with benefits, I guess is what I'm asking.
kind
The
of.
tea.
Yeah. Kind of what Destiny was saying. It's just the convenience of it. And I guess like I'm in that part of my life where I don't really want to commit yet, only because of like my difficult experiences in the past with relationships. And it's like I'm coming to realize that me as a person, I don't really like being committed, settled in a relationship that's like longer than probably like 5 months or something.
Yeah. Oh.
And I don't know why. It's just like I'm coming to realize that about myself.
Yeah.
And it's so weird.
Yeah.
I'm just like, I think I'm happier like being single or friends with benefits.
Yeah. Okay.
It's really weird.
Yeah. So you don't even use do you use friends with benefits as like dating? Like not intentionally, but like you know your head knows that it's friends with benefits, but you are still like testing the waters. I don't know if this is making
I
sense.
guess.
Like I'm trying to
no, I get you.
Okay.
I guess kind of
Yeah.
in some way.
Yeah.
It just depends on the person.
Yeah.
Because like I know, like just depending on the person, I'm like, oh, I'm not really that interested in them
Yeah.
as a person. With other people, you know, it's
But
not
I'm
like
physically
fucked-
attracted to you,
it
so it's
sounds
fine.
fucked up. It's like, I like detach myself from them.
Yeah.
Completely, you know. I'm just
Yeah.
like, nope.
Yeah. Yeah, this stuff, I mean, it's so fascinating. Like, just the range of relationships, the commitment level, people living together, people dating since high school and going to separate schools and whatever, still dating, and then just kind of exploring. It all makes sense and confuses hooking up on college campuses. So, I guess, so how do you, if we were going to interview people for the type of relationship we wanted. So if like we'll use Sam's example of looking for friends with benefits. What are the type of questions we would want to know from the partner that we're going to be friends with benefits with?
What's your body count?
Yeah.
But then that's a dangerous question because I'm like, do I really want to know?
Yeah, I was gonna say that too.
I was
But so you might want to know if it's friends with benefits. Maybe not if you're going for partnership.
Yeah,
Oh, that's true.
I think I would ask just for health purposes.
Yeah,
yeah.
okay.
Stay safe.
Not even
but
for,
then it's like,
experience.
oh maybe. Damn.
Yeah, I mean, shoot, if you don't want to mess around, if you're doing friends with benefits, do it right. Yeah. Okay. So we're in agreement that body count on some level is probably a good.
Yeah.
Good. Okay. What else would we want to know? All right. I guess maybe I would ask, or I say I would ask. I would never have the courage to ask any of these questions either, which is why we're doing this. But I would want to know, I guess, what their experience with friends with benefits has been. like, I guess really defining, like, okay, cool, are we just like, we're never talking, and then just when we need something, we hit each other up, or like, do we, and then what happens, you know, do we leave, do we get breakfast, you know, like what, like, I guess the ground rules would probably be talking about.
You just reminded me of something. I guess I would ask, like, where are we doing it? No, like, I don't want to do it in, like,
the car.
car.
Yeah.
Or, like, in someone else's house, you know, like,
Yeah.
and, like, yeah. Or, like, your baby mama's house. No.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, good questions.
And,
Okay.
like, what are you into? Like, what's the
Like
no?
sexually?
Yeah. Like, people,
Yeah.
like, people are, like, just assume it's just sex, but, like, what happens during that, you know?
Yeah.
That's so true.
That is
honestly,
true.
Because
Yeah.
everybody's so different.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and like in the exposure with like, you know, porn and seeing how like it's supposed to be, or what, you know, it's like these like fetishes, or, you know, all these kind of things. Like, yeah, for sure, to each their own, but it's helpful to know what you're getting into.
Yeah.
And you're committing to, or whatever. Okay, good. What else? Or any more?
Are you seeing anybody else?
I was
So for friends with benefits.
Yeah, okay. Because again, this goes back to what she was saying. Like, I don't think I could ever do friends with benefits, because I know, like, I'm gonna catch feelings. Like, that's just who I am as a person. So then I guess I would want to know, like, are you going to be fucking somebody else, or just me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm too nosy. I'm like,
Yeah.
But then I'm gonna get myself upset because So it's like, do I really want to know?
Yeah, that is complicated, because what if they're like at somebody else's house and then come to your house? Like,
And it's like, no.
Yeah.
But then again, I shouldn't be doing friends with benefits. I don't feel that way.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, so I guess the questions, so that is a good point, because then the questions that we're asking people is really telling us about ourselves. Like, we want to know about them, but it's because we have our certain values and stuff that to know what we want to get into. Okay, I like this. So
what do you ask? Do you ask anything up front? Or like back then?
I mean, you guys pretty much covered it.
Yeah.
You actually ask stuff though? Like you guys actually talk?
Or like you do it like what do you do?
Like, I tiptoe around.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, I would too.
Me too.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know anybody that's like, hey, hey, what's happening? Do you want to be friends with benefits? Like, let's do this. Here's the contract.
How does that happen?
Yeah.
Though? Like how do you? I've never done that, so I'm like just curious.
Yeah. I feel that it would probably be, I mean, this would just be like my experience of like hooking up with somebody and either being like, oh fuck, I can't believe we just hooked up, you know, like a friendship kind of thing, and then talking about it after the fact. Like, okay, what does that mean? Are we doing it again? Is this just friends with benefits? Like,
yeah, I caught myself in a situation like that very recently, where it was like starting to tiptoe into like relationships. Like relationship stuff, because like he was like holding my hand and treating me like a couple outside in public, and then like 2 days later I was like, so what was that about? Like, is that your way of like flirting or something? So
and so you didn't want them holding your hand, or you did?
I didn't care for it. I just didn't attach myself to the feeling, because I'm like, I know where this leads, you know. Yeah, it's so hard. And like, I mean, I guess we don't really know anything until we ask. But yeah, I think like your point of like, how does it start or whatever, you know, like, I don't know. I guess it starts how like any other like relationship starts, and it either goes south quickly based on your communication, or it goes well, you know, based on your communication. I think there's always some sort of like checklist you do before you get involved in like friends with benefits or relationships.
And like, I think in theory, and you really do have to know yourself. Like, you brought up a lot of good points of like, I couldn't do it, you know.
But then I also think though, or like, I'm just guessing, because knowing the fact that nobody talks about anything, it's like a like assumed, if that makes sense. Like, you don't talk about it, but you expect the other person to know that that's what you're doing. I don't know if that makes sense. And so it's like, oh, like the come over text, it's like, oh, you already know what's gonna happen. And if it keeps happening, then you know what you guys are. So everything is kind of just assumed, I think.
Which makes the blurred line. I don't do well with the blurred line, because I'm like, what does that mean? Like, I'm coming over to do what? Are we going for like a run? Or are we gonna like, what are we doing when I come over?
I feel like I don't know about your generation, but for our generation, that kind of means like,
Yeah.
oh, like when are you gonna come over? It means like,
Oh, like in that.
when are you available,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Okay. Or I guess it would depend on the time of day. Or maybe not.
maybe not. Some people
Yeah. Okay.
rise and shine. Let's get to it.
Come over. Or you guys don't call each other, you just text or DM or Snapchat
Yeah,
or some
just
nonsense. Okay. So what about questions if you're looking, so in college and we're looking for a relationship, what like interview questions would we ask a potential partner? I know this one feels so
weird.
harder than
Yeah.
like the friends with benefit. Like the friends with benefits like cooler and like, oh, it's so casual. Like this is like more serious. Like what do we ask?
I think it's
laughing.
important to share interests with each other.
Yeah,
Like
what are,
because majors and everything.
yeah, I think that's how it started. What's your major? Oh, cool. How'd you get into it? And then
Yeah.
they'll tell you.
Yeah.
But I'm laughing because it's like for me, I'm more of like, what are you looking for? Like, what's your family like?
Yeah.
Because I'm looking
Yeah.
for a relationship, and eventually I'm
Yeah.
gonna introduce you to them. So I'm like, do you have family? Do you get along with them?
Yeah.
Do you guys celebrate holidays? Because I'm a big holiday person.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I love giving gifts and everything like that. So to me, it's like, do you guys celebrate anything? Can I be a part of that? So
Yeah.
I'm kind of like more of like a scenario type. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, what's going on?
Yeah. What then is like the deal breaker for you? Like if you have a question and they answer it, it's like which way would you be like?
Are you a mommy's
peace?
boy? Yes.
It's funny because I feel like my hubby is the mommy's boy. And he's like, no, I'm not.
I'm even listening.
I know.
He's like, whatever.
But I feel like the turn off, like family wise, is that what you're asking?
Or just the if
Like in
you're
general?
asking interview questions and like what's your biggest like nope, like that person is not for me.
If they were like super annoyed that I'm hanging out with my friends. Because my friends are everything to me and I chose my friends. And if they're like my best friends and they're like, well, you hang out with them too much.
Yeah.
Like you didn't offer to hang out with me, so like that's why I'm hanging out with them. What's
Yeah.
the problem?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I always hated when like other guys were like talking into my relationship and they'd be like, well, you should be hanging out with your boyfriend 24/7. It's like, no, we have like different lives and we're choosing to share this one life, so they have to accept
Yeah.
our other lives, you know?
Yeah.
So I hate it when they're like, you can't hang out with your girlfriends. That's a deal breaker.
Yeah.
Nah.
Yeah, I mean, and I think I like that you're saying that
Yeah.
because I think it's hard for a lot of people to do because sometimes we get consumed of like, oh my God, like I want to spend all my time with this
Yeah.
person and we forget about our friends and then our girlfriends are like, or whatever, friends are like, why are you always hanging out? We miss you or whatever. And so that is like interesting and it's like a fine line of like, is it controlling? Some people misconstrue it as like, oh, but he just loves me so much. He wants to be, but it's like, is it controlling and toxic?
Yeah.
So that's a good point to bring up of like paying attention of what we're looking for in a partner. And if that's, that's not what you're looking for in a partner.
Yeah,
So that's
no.
good. Yeah. Okay. Anybody else?
Oh, and if they do PDA too much in public.
Oh yeah, you're not a PDA.
I'm not a PDA
Okay.
person. I like, it's annoying.
What's
to
the
me.
extent of PDA? Like, will you hold hands?
Yeah, I'll hold hands and like maybe a peck on the kid, like on cheek, but that's it.
Okay.
It can't be like,
Yeah.
fully
Oh,
wrapped
yeah.
down. or like in high school when like they're sitting on one of like each
yeah,
other's
yeah,
lap.
yeah.
That annoys me. It's a pet peeve. I can't do
Yeah.
that as a deal
Yeah.
breaker. If they're constantly like, I want to show off like that you're my girlfriend, then no,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah.
Why do you want to show off?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
make
What
it
are you trying to
good.
prove?
Yeah, and I'm like,
They're upset. They're like, why didn't she want to do anything?
like
so
you have
what?
nothing to prove to anybody else,
Yeah.
but like us.
I know, and that's their own insecurity.
Yeah.
Especially when they're given the response that you just said of like questioning you why, because it's like, well, I don't need to prove anything. Like, why do I need to be doing that?
And then they get in a bad mood the rest of the day.
Yeah.
So you have experience. with
Yeah.
this.
Almost like every type of experience with the person. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what is your deal breaker now then? Or you might have more than just one, but knowing your experiences, where are you like, nope, that person is not for me?
I get so annoyed at like every type of person now. I'm just like, I feel
that.
Yeah, I do too.
Like we know we're both in this. We're like friends with benefits. Just be a decent person. Don't have attitude. Don't be mean towards like even like your family or whatever.
Yeah.
Just like be a generally like good person.
Yeah. So simple,
You
no
know?
drama.
Yeah. No drama.
Yeah.
Whatsoever.
Yeah, like in that when there's like exes involved and like all this other stuff, that just makes it so complicated.
That would be
Crazy
my
ex.
question, like about their past. But to a certain extent, I would
Yeah.
want to know, like, oh, happened, or how were they in their past relationships, or like if something went wrong.
I was gonna say that.
Did you cheat on her? Or,
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, these are all wonderful things to be thinking about. Is it realistic for us to be thinking about this on college campus in college land?
I think it's important for people to remember it comes down to their self-worth and like respect themselves. Like, yeah, you're hooking up, but be careful and like be safe and know what you're getting yourself into. Again, kind of going back to the point when you were talking about when it comes to drugs and alcohol, it gets really tricky. So just make smart choices.
Yeah, I like that. Like, I guess, to recap kind of what we're all saying, I do hear a lot of like knowing what we want. You know, if we want friends with benefits, cool, but like stick to the plan. You know, it's not you're not going to get something else out of it. Like, be aware of that's what you're doing. If you don't want friends with benefits, you know, don't settle for less than what you're looking for, and being able to like speak. And it's so hard, like the hookup culture, like it's so uncool to say you want to be in a relationship at any age, and like this whole being emotionally unavailable seems to be like the cool thing to be doing right now. You know, and so that's hard. So kind of self-worth and digging deep and going after for like what you want. And I guess communicate, like, so being clear, both of those things kind of summarize of knowing what you're getting into, but like, what is friends with benefits? What is hooking up? What is dating? What does it mean to be exclusive? What's your definition of cheating? Is this cheating if I do that? You know, like there's so many variables. And yeah, like the alcohol, like just being aware of how that's influencing your behaviors. And even if, I think you were saying it, so like in earlier conversations of just, even if you're not doing it, other people are part of it, and you're in that scene, and just kind of being aware of what's happening anyway. It's a lot to talk about in this, like making out on college campuses. It's definitely hard. So, any final
so going
thoughts?
back to where you said where like even if you're not doing it, somebody else around you is doing it, so just be mindful of that. And even like you guys are friends, best friends, or just know each other, like be mindful of those definitions, because at the end of the day we're trying to communicate with them or trying to like give them advice. And like if you don't establish those definitions or what those mean, how can you help one another? So like that's why, even though I was in a relationship and I was just like, you know, living in campus or like, you know, commuting, I knew people who were in those situations. So I was like, okay, like give me the rundown, and like that's how everything went. So just be mindful of that.
Okay. Well, I always like to like challenge us, because you guys make me do things I don't want to do. So if we're gonna challenge ourselves, what would be like the easiest thing to do to be better at making out? It's not really the greatest way of saying it, but or I guess I'm gonna throw out the like practice saying no. Like if you, for a little, like it doesn't have to be related to like making out, but just getting comfortable, like saying no, I can't hang out. No, I have a test today, so I'm gonna have to catch up to you later. Like just that idea. So practice saying no in easy situations. So when it's harder situations, you're getting in the habit of doing it. So I'm gonna challenge us with that. Anybody want to throw anything in the mix?
I think making out definitely also comes to play when in the workplace. You know, with coworkers and all that, and just like it gets tricky, and then you start drama between your other coworkers, and it's just like a whole bunch of like chisme.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay, to use that example, then I would think like a challenge is being clear on communicating
Yeah.
and knowing like, and I don't know, like, I don't know what the easy, like maybe starting with like family, I don't know who's the easiest people to communicate with. You know, like if it's like, like family, or your good friends, or just like practicing being you and saying like, cool, friends with benefits isn't for me, but if it's for you, like I support that, but make sure, you know, you're doing it for you. Like, so maybe it's just improving our communication skills amongst our friends group. So again, when we're in harder situations, we have at least some practice. And my magic number is always like 3, so we need one more challenge.
I'm just thinking like, I know this is so cliche, but I think you should really stay true to what you want. Like, I think people get, not like influenced, but like if I'm not too sure, but you know you just want to hook up with me, I'm gonna let you decide. But it's like, I'm not gonna, like, don't do that. Don't let the other person decide what's happening, if that makes sense. Like, also give your input, and if it doesn't work out, then it's just not meant to be, but you'll find someone else.
Yeah, that's a hard one, because that one's like, being super authentic. I mean, I agree with it, and I totally want everyone to do that.
I know. It's hard, but
because it's like being authentic and being okay. If I say no, I'm not going to do that and walk away, like I have to be okay with that person walking away. And sometimes that's a self-worth thing, because then it's like, like now I don't have attention, or I'm not getting the validation, and that goes in the whole other spiel of like, luckily we have our self-worth toolkit coming out soon, but that I think will work. But that's like the ultimate of like just not being swayed by anybody else's opinion and being your bold, true, authentic. So for sure. Okay. I'm nervous of trying all these challenges. And I'm glad I'm not in college. Well, thank you, ladies. This was fun. And I appreciate the very transparent conversation that we had. So thank you.
Thanks.
Okay. I don't know how to
That's
end.
it, yeah. We didn't talk about the ending.
Yeah.
No, I know.
Alright, guys, my life fell asleep.
I know. I was getting a cramp right now. I was like, oh my god, let me go back.
I know, it's these conversations, I could talk forever, because then somebody says something and I want to ask a zillion questions.
I know.
How do we feel like that was? How
That
was
was
that?
good.
I feel like that was good.
That was lively.
Yeah, and it was real and like